We already know this hedgehog has outrun 16-bit marketing buzzwords, 4Kids voice dubs, and an entire Hollywood redesign controversy, so of course his first polygonal outing is equal parts watershed and fever dream. Sonic Adventure hands you 6 campaigns that collide like multiverse fanfic, a memory card Tamagotchi that grows when you ride city buses, and a killer whale set piece that still leaps through my REM cycles. Don't play coy. That orca moved into your cranium in 1999 and never paid rent. Is it a timeless classic or launch window tech demo duct taped together with optimism? Both. It's the moment Sega sprinted across a collapsing pier toward the 6th generation, planks exploding in its wake, a marine mammal in hot pursuit. Hyperbolic? Always. Ironic? Inevitably. Rhetorical questions followed by self-deprecating answers. Could I possibly reminisce about late 90s Sega without them? Spoiler, absolutely not. Sharpen your spin dash, dust off your VMU, and let's mine 4,000 plus words from the swirl logo supernova that was Sonic Adventure. Historical context, Sega entered 1998 like a marathoner substituting espresso for electrolytes. The Saturn had face planted overseas, Sony's PlayStation was busy rewriting console economics, and Super Mario 64 had upgraded 3D platformer from novelty to bare minimum spec. Sega's Counterpunch arrived 27th November 1998 in Japan, the Dreamcast, all-white chassis and modem heat. Sonic Adventure followed 4 weeks later on 23rd December, positioned as the Swirl's Christmas Miracle and the Blue Blur's Polygonal Baptism. Internally, Sonic Team retooled into a globe-trotting R&D squad. Staff traveled through Central and South American temple sites, including Guatemala's Tikal ruins, for texture reference and environmental scale, photographing moss-choked pyramids that would morph into mystic ruin ziggurats. Character designer Yuji Uekawa stretched Sonic's chubby Genesis proportions into longer limbs and sharper gloves, birthing the modern adventure look that still anchors merchandising 20 plus years later. Meanwhile, Sega's marketing department shifted from polite wonder to caffeinated swagger. North America's epical September 9th, 1999 launch saw Sonic Adventure headlining a library that promised online play, 128-bit buzz, and enough arcade ports to cover your dorm's rent. First year sell-through topped 2.5 million units, securing the crown of best-selling Dreamcast game, and briefly convincing the world that a hedgehog and a dial-up modem could keep Sega in the hardware race. I was 20, broke, and closing shifts at Funkoland. Corporate supplied one display-only Dreamcast kiosk, which we absolutely repurposed after hours for inventory calibration, i.e., speed-running Emerald Coast until sunrise. We placed pizza wagers on who could trigger the Orca Bridge collapse without the camera seizing like Windows 95. I let more slices go cold than I cared to admit. Back at Sega HQ, producer Yuji Naka and director Takashi Iizuka juggled 2 existential goals: prove Sonic could thrive in 3D and prove the Dreamcast deserved a place beneath television sets already earmarked for PlayStation 2 DVD glory. They hired composer Jun Senoue, flanked by Fumi Kumatani and Kenichi Tokoi, to replace Genesis electro-funk with guitar riffs thick enough to reformat your VMU. The resulting soundtrack, equal parts arena rock and jazz fusion, whipped into cheese grater euphoria by Crush 40, still sparks hallway karaoke at every PAX. Sega even tested live content years before the phrase burrowed into marketing decks. Dial-Up delivered holiday 1999 DLC decorated Station Square with Christmas trees and snowmen, a primitive precursor to modern seasonal updates. In context, Sonic Adventure felt like the future arriving 6 months early, modem screech included, mechanics, 2 worlds, 6 lenses. The design bible boils down to 6 stories, 1 god, the deity in question being Chaos, a gelatinous water creature weaponized by Dr. Robotnik. Sorry, Eggman now. Corporate said so. Each hero, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, E102 Gamma, and Big, replays chunks of the narrative with bespoke mechanics, like 6 episodes of Saturday morning TV accidentally shuffled into a Tarantino timeline. Hub zones called Adventure Fields, Station Square, Mystic Ruins, Egg Carrier act as puzzle-like connective tissue. They hide keys, NPC hints, and every excuse Sega could find to show off bump-mapped concrete. Detractors dubbed them backtracking purgatory. Supporters viewed them as palate cleansers between mainline roller coasters. The truth, as always, lives in the messy middle. Sonic, the DSLR tech demo Sonic's campaign contains 10 distinct action stages. Emerald Coast through Final Egg, no more, no less. The opener remains seared into gaming folklore. A pier sprint where a killer whale demolishes planks in real time. Camera flipped 180 degrees for maximum vertigo. Windy Valley escalates with a tornado that drags you through wind tunnels. Speed Highway turns midnight skyscrapers into a neon slip and slide. Ice Cap straps the hedgehog onto a chunk of sheet ice for a SSX light descent. The new homing attack bounces between enemies like a heat-seeking yo-yo. Bliss when it snaps true. Controller chewing when it locks onto empty vertices. Tails, racing the camera. Miles Prower recycles half of Sonic's tracks but recontextualizes them as foot races. Booster flight included. His spin propeller jump transforms verticality into shortcut meta gaming. Cliff hop over entire Switch puzzles cut inside corkscrews. Cackle as the AI eats your exhaust. Sega never patched rubber band weirdness. That remains equal parts charm and headache. Knuckles, Echidna, geocaching. Knuckles hunts Master Emerald shards with a radar that only pings the nearest fragment, forcing a 3-step scavenger dance. Digging through Angel Island ruins evokes mild Metroid currents, except with reggae loops and the occasional Chaos 4 ankle punch. Hint spheres float overhead like Clippy in Ruin Plunder cosplay. Amy, Sonic's escort mission reversed. Amy trades breakneck loops for cat and mouse stealth. Zero, a Terminator-style robot stalks her through hedge mazes and Final Egg aisles. The Pico Pico hammer doubles as pogo stick, misuse it, and the camera whiplashes harder than a found footage horror flick. Yet the tonal shift works. Downtime that lets players admire Dreamcast reflections in floor wax. E102 Gamma. Lock-on Lament. Gamma's lock-on laser tag riffs on Panzer Dragoon corridors. Tag multiple targets. Release trigger. Derail frame rate. His story culminates in robo-existential sacrifice, self-destructing to free a caged bird, marking one of Sonic Team's earliest forays into pathos. It landed like an emotional flashbang in 1999. Big the Cat. Fishing for sanity. Big is either a meme savior or design war crime. Froggy, his amphibian soulmate, keeps swallowing Chaos Emeralds, so Big unspools a fishing rod that controls like an oiled Wiimote. Casual players wrestle 20-minute reels. Speedrunners abuse collision clipping to snag Froggy in under 30 seconds. The absurdity functions as cosmic comic relief, one final breath before the orbital boss Gauntlet. Chao Garden and the portable hedgehog. Hidden within each hub lies the Chao Garden, Sega's stealth Tamagotchi. You hatch plushy blobs, feed them animal stats harvested from levels, and nurture morality paths, hero versus dark, by either cuddling or body slamming them across ponds. The rabbit hole deepens when you upload a Chao to the VMU for Chao Adventure, a side-scrolling micro-RPG that accrues XP only while the handheld screen is active. Now that's what I call cardio. Players discovered password-protected Chao names, enter SA2B for rare fruit, plus an undocumented swim booster exploit, drop penguins in precise frame windows to exceed stat caps. Playground lore mutated for years. Sega's proto-live service before live service went corporate. Physics, frame rate, and camera quarrels. Contrary to collective memory, the Dreamcast original caps most scenes at 30 frames per second, spiking to 60 in certain tunnels and menus but dropping whenever geometry gets spicy. Ports on GameCube and PC targeted full 60, yet introduced their own hiccups. Cutscenes running double speed, physics desyncing like a karaoke machine on dial-up. The camera, meanwhile, is both co-pilot and nemesis, a semi-smart orb that occasionally decides to study the floor while you rocket into pits. Nerd metaphor, this lens has more PTSD triggers than a 3.5 ED and D monk struck by an area of effect stun spell. Yet when stars align, when the Zaid buffer holds, when homing attack chains click like pinball bumpers, the flow state rivals roller coaster design. Sonic Adventure's best moments aren't merely played, they're surfed, legacy, and influence. Sonic Adventure proved the Hedgehog could survive the polygonal rapture, but it also foreshadowed the franchise's buffet-style identity crisis. Variety became gospel, good for Gamma's shooter DNA, less so for later experiments involving warhogs and hoverboards. The hub-and-spoke blueprint resurfaced in Sonic 06, with loading screens longer than Big's fishing line, and matured into 2023's Sonic Frontiers, whose open-zone design basically says, what if an entire map were an adventure field connected by warp rings and metal rails? Musically, the guitar-centric approach birthed Crush 40, which in turn scored everything from Sonic Heroes to fan-made esports highlight reels circa 2005. Meanwhile, Chao Gardens became a cultural touchstone. Ask any Dreamcast kid their first cyber-parenting memory. Odds are they named a Chao Shadow and fed it way too many seals. Speedrunning communities treat the game like Swiss cheese, full of holes begging exploitation. Record holders abuse spin dash acceleration, wall clipping, and Wind Valley tornado skips to clock Sonic's campaign in under 33 minutes. The Orca chase is the baptism. If you can maintain forward momentum without outrunning the script trigger, you're ready for deeper glitches. Modders, hungry to preserve swirl heritage, reverse-engineered PC ports into better SAT-AX, restoring Dreamcast lighting, 4 3-aspect love, and toggles for 30 or 60 FPS physics fidelity. Fan servers even resurrected the 1999 Christmas DLC, so modern rigs can still admire Station Square's low-poly tinsel. Why does debate persist? Because Adventure is simultaneously Sega's last pure sprint of imagination and the first sign of content bloat. Critics see Big's fishing as padding, fans champion it as tonal spice. Some laud the multi-character narrative, others blame it for the series' post-2000 sprawl. Either way, that Orca set piece carved itself into pop culture granite. It reappeared in Sonic Generations, cameoed via Easter egg in Wave Ocean of Sonic 06, and still powers TikTok nostalgia loops. The Dreamcast died in 2001. Sega pivoted to third-party life support, yet Adventure keeps respawning. GameCube's DX Director's Cut, Steam, PlayStation Network, Xbox Live, even community decompilations running on single-board computers. Each port inherits new bugs like genealogical quirks, but the core loop, the Orca, the Speed Highway, the VMU Tamagotchi, remains intact, thrumming with turn-of-the-millennium optimism. Closing paragraph plus score. So what is Sonic Adventure in 2025? It's the endless bridge beneath your sneakers, planks detonating, ocean spray in your face, Orca roaring somewhere behind. Sega's entire late 90s philosophy distilled into an on-rail spectacle. Outrun failure or get wet trying. Yes, the camera rebels, and yes, fishing for Froggy feels like filling DMV paperwork in roller skates. But when Open Your Heart blasts and chaos morphs into a tidal kaiju under swelling guitars, every dropped frame and stuck homing target melts into pure caffeinated joy. My verdict, 8.0 out of 10, not flawless. No licensing board would approve Big's line physics, but irreplaceable. A blue blur holding the Dreamcast aloft like a torch, sprinting for a future that came, crashed, and left us with memories as bright as emeralds, and one very determined killer whale.